After that, I woke up from my sleep, drenched with cold sweat. "Darling," shouted my wife, "what's wrong?" It took me time to answer back. "Oh, it's nothing serious, darling. Just a small nightmare." "You never had nightmares before. What is it?" Then I sighed. "It's that doll." Then my wife chuckled. "Ha! Come on, you're afraid of a doll." "No, but that doll is different. It's like a living monster." My wife kissed me and said, "Darling, you're just imagining things. Not that you're crazy, but you're just not used to it. Come here, you." She hugged me. "Thanks, darling. A man like me? Darn, it's my first time to be scared." "Shh, it's fine. Let's go back to sleep." Then she took the blanket. I just realized that it was 3 a.m. I heard enough stories when you wake up at 3 a.m. there's someone staring at you, or the devil's hour, whatever. Those aren't true anyways. I went back to sleep. Morning, and I went to work. I was so sleepy because I didn't sleep well last night. Was that dream true? What does it mean? Ugh. I don't want to think about it anymore. I didn't notice that I was sleeping. "Wake up, you lazy bastard," shouted my boss. "Yeah. Oh, sorry, sir. I was sleepy. Get to work if you don't want your raise to be decreased." Okay, sir. "I'm really sorry again, sir." I can't believe it. It's my first time to get drowsy. Well, might as well get back to work. I did my usual routine. Work, eat, rest, work, go home. As soon as I reached my house, something felt wrong. I noticed that our lawn wasn't mowed. Impossible. I remember mowing it this morning. I then walked towards the door. As I held the doorknob, it was cold as ice. Then suddenly something banged the window. I saw my wife's head, bleeding. Her skull was broken open. Instantly, I panicked to open the door. As I opened the door, everything was normal. My daughter's playing with that doll again. My wife's at the kitchen cooking. My daughter noticed me and ran to me with a smile. "Welcome home, Papa." She tackled me without me knowing. "Yeah, I'm home." I managed to smile to make sure my daughter doesn't worry about me. My wife saw that I was making a fake smile. I mouthed her, "Talk later." I then took a look at the doll to see it smiling. When I stared at its eyes, I knew what it was trying to say. "You are dead." I shrugged it off, thinking that I must be very tired of saying such things like predicting what a doll could say. But when I looked at it again, this time, the doll said it. My daughter and wife didn't notice, so I found it strange. Why? We ate like we always do, but whenever I turned to look at the doll, it kept disturbing me until I lost my appetite. I'm going to bed." "This early?" my wife said. I had a rough day. I went to our room and slammed my body to the bed. Sweet dreams. That voice again. It's the doll. I turned around to see the doll on my doorstep, staring at me with a knife. It lunged at me to stab me. Being an expert at fighting back bullies, I countered the attack and stabbed the doll. "What's happening up there?" my wife called out. She and my daughter went up. As I opened the door, I yelled at them to stand back. It was too late. The doll attacked my daughter and my wife. They were both defenseless. My wife protected my daughter, and she was stabbed in the process. My daughter ran downstairs to call the police, while I, on the other hand, is just laying on the floor watching the doll brutally murder my wife. The doll chopped my wife's head off, opened her skull, and ate her brains. It then sliced my wife's stomach open, pulling out all the intestines. I snapped back to reality and kicked the doll. I then ran downstairs to find my daughter. I found her in the basement, hiding from the doll. When I opened the cabinet, I saw her crying. When I looked at her eyes, it was full of fear and pain. I then saw that she was also bleeding. "Papa, I'm scared." I sat at her side to comfort her and tended to the wound. We stayed at the cabinet until it was safe. boy, we were wrong about that. The doll found her way to the basement and slammed the door open. My daughter screamed, and the doll stabbed her throat, making a sound that sounded like a whistle. This time I was alert. I took the doll by its neck and wrestled it to the ground. It then suddenly grew to life size. We found each other trying to find each other's weaknesses and tried to kill each other. It stabbed and hacked and slashed, hitting me mostly. As the battle progressed, I then found out the doll was mimicking my movements. I made a gesture to stab my head. The doll did the same thing, thus ending its life. I then dropped to the floor, crying, but laughing. Soon after, the cops came by and saw my wife and my daughter's dead corpse. They also saw me and brought me to a psychologist because they saw me laughing harder than I should be on the current situation. When I finally cooled down and told the police my story, they believed all the details except one. The doll can't be real. They told me it must be a person they brought in, but I said, no, it is real. I saw it in front of my very own eyes. Later on, I was sent to a psychologist, and I was diagnosed with schizophrenia. I couldn't believe it, but it was true. All this doll nonsense, they were nothing but delusions and hallucinations. I was the one. I was the one who murdered my own dear family. I was the one who murdered my wife brutally. I was the one who killed my own daughter. I was the one responsible. The cops felt sorry about me, and instead of bringing me to prison, they brought me to a mental asylum, and I stayed there for 3 months. They told me I was laughing all day long when I was insane before. Now, I am once again sane. I prepared the funeral for my daughter and for my wife. I shed a lot of tears at the funeral. Many people gave me their condolence, which wasn't helping at all. I then went home with the car. As soon as I head home, I saw the doll at the doorway, smiling at me. It said, "Welcome home, Papa." I smiled. I smiled like a maniac would. I brought the doll and went to the kitchen and brought out a knife. I went outside with the doll in my left arm and the knife in my right hand. Pete's point of view. Huh? Mom, is that you? I stood up and opened the door. No one's outside. I must be hearing things. Breaking news. A family was murdered brutally last night. The bodies were found around the table and were brutally deformed. They were all wearing formal attires and looked like having a tea party. A few days later, more crimes were reported with the same style of brutality. The curfew was then changed from 8 p.m. to 6 p.m. Every time the police came, they would find a note scribbled in blood from the victim that say, "We will always play together. Join us. Let us have fun."